construction of a new submarine begins and the opportunity of a lifetime for our shipbuilders to keep history alive. I'm Aaron Pritchett, and this is Focus NNS. We're here in the mid-yard in between the modular and supplemental outfitting facilities, or simply put, the proud home of where the United States Navy's Virginia-class submarines come to life, and the site for the ceremonial keel lane of Arkansas SSN 800. We'll share with you why this new Virginia-class submarine is inspiring shipbuilders like never before. Plus, they're in a class all their own, as these individuals have spent the last 40 years or more at Newport News Shipbuilding, doing their part to build the greatest ships in the world for our nation's defense. We'll take you to the Master Shipbuilder ceremony honoring the classes of 1980, 81, and 82. And my, how time flies. Another year has zipped by in a flash. We'll take a look back at the biggest stories of 2022. Those stories and more are coming up, but first on deck, the next Virginia-class submarine Arkansas SSN 800 begins its construction journey as shipbuilders begin the monumental task of bringing this boat to life. And as tradition continues, a ceremonial keel lane was held with plenty of pomp and circumstance, remarks from Newport News Shipbuilding President Jennifer Boykin, United States Navy and congressional officials, as well as the welding of the keel plates. But the name Arkansas takes on a whole new meaning because it's not about the state, but rather its sponsors, 9 African Americans, better known as the Little Rock Nine, whose courageous story forever changed our nation's history. So here are some of our shipbuilders to reflect on these 9 individuals' trials, tribulations, and triumph for the greater good of humanity.
First name is Minnie Jean Brown, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green,
Thelma Mothershed, Melba Patillo, Gloria Ray, Terrence Roberts,
Jefferson Thomas, and Carlotta Walls.
When I hear the Little Rock Nine, I think of history. I think of all the obstacles that we've come through as a country.
Bravery, integrity, heart.
It's kind of hard to really grasp what they went through.
I think they were very courageous in what they did. You know, it was a time-changing moment.
I feel like it was very harsh towards them because they were trying to, get a better education.
Yeah, I was born in a small town called Helena, Arkansas, which is about 2.5 hours from Little Rock. I think my earliest memories of the Little Rock Nine was like around 6th grade. They started, of course, it was around Black History Month. Everybody knew about the Mount Rushmore of Black history, and then they introduced the Little Rock Nine to us. In 1954, the Supreme Court ruled that through Brown versus the Board of Education, which was led by Thurgood Marshall, that segregation in schools was wrong and that it was time to integrate. And as we all know, a lot of southern states felt like this was wrong. When it came to Arkansas, they had already had some of the schools integrated, but they wanted to integrate Central, Little Rock Central. And at that time, it was like one of the best schools in the nation. And at first there were 17 African Americans that volunteered to go to Central. And some of them dropped out as close as the time came to go to school, as for fear for their life and their parents losing their jobs and stuff like that. So the 9 that went to go, of course you're gonna get people, hitting on you and spitting at you and throwing stuff at you, but this is your purpose and you have to complete the goal. And the goal was to further your education and get into the school.
And when I think of those children, those innocent children who just wanted an education, they had not done anything else wrong, they just wanted to learn. It makes me so angry And it breaks my heart that that's where we were as a country. And these moments in history that we see that are hard to fathom, that I can't imagine living through, but others did, and they've come through it. And it's just, it's heartbreaking to see that that's how we used to treat people, just based on the color of their skin.
Governor Orville Forbes, he brought in the National Guard, and his orders were to keep the peace and keep down the violence. So he brought the National Guard in, and they kept the Little Rock Nine from getting into the school.
The President and the executive branch of government will support and ensure the carrying out of the decisions of the federal courts.
So that's where Eisenhower came in with the military at that point in time. He came to the school and said that they would literally walk the Little Rock Nine into school to make sure that they got in safely. But I guess that kind of goes back to with them having to struggle, because once they got into school, it was, not under their protection at that point in time.
And we don't even know the half of what happened to them inside that school. So just to see what they went through and how far that we've come from that because of them, I'm forever thankful and grateful. So we have a special opportunity here at Shipbuilders to do something that no one else does. We build nuclear-powered warships, and with the Arkansas, we have an even more special opportunity. Our sponsor is the Little Rock Nine, and to be able to honor them and to remember that history, it almost brings a new sense of pride into what we do.
I'm proud. I don't even want the submarine to leave the building. Because it's like, wow, I'm really working on a new Virginia class submarine by the name of Arkansas that's got some meaning behind it.
I mean, I feel proud in my heart because I take pride in my job, what I do, because I know that my grandkids can serve on this ship.
I'm very proud of what I do. It's a good feeling knowing that I put my hand, heart, and soul into that, and it's a good feeling.
Me being in the 6th grade, just learning about 9 courageous African Americans, Little Rock Nine, who stepped forward and took their place in the history books. And it's amazing that what we're doing here, as me and my fellow shipbuilders are bringing Arkansas SSN 800 to life.
What an inspirational piece as the Little Rock Nine story continues to live on, thanks to our shipbuilders' commitment, dedication, and drive to bring Arkansas SSN 800 to life. And if you're interested in seeing the entire keel laying ceremony, check out HII.com/SSN 800. Now, let's take a look at some other news from around the yard. Giving back to the community with 2 houses at one time, with a little bit of new technology mixed in for good measure, as Newport News Shipbuilding recently gathered in the southeast community of Newport News at 41st Street and Madison Avenue to break ground on 2 houses that shipyard volunteers will build in partnership with Habitat for Humanity Peninsula and Greater Williamsburg. The groundbreaking marks the first time NNS has sponsored 2 homes at once, and the 20th and 21st sponsored by the shipyard since 2002. And if that isn't enough, it's also the first time the homes sponsored by NNS are being built partly by Habitat for Humanity's building partner, Alquist's 3D printing technology.
In Newport News, we're using the same kind of 3D printed and additive manufacturing technology as we build aircraft carriers and submarines. So it only makes sense that our volunteers who will build these homes from the shipyard get to take this technology into our community as well. It's exciting to see this kind of technology make a difference, not just in our business, but truly in our community.
NNS Shipbuilding President Jennifer Boykin is the sponsor of the 20th home, while Dave Bokar, Vice President of Engineering and Design, is the sponsor of the 21st home. The 3-bedroom, 1,200 square foot house is just the 3rd and 4th Habitat for Humanity homes in the country being built using 3D printing technology. It's said that all good things must come to an end, but that's not always the case. Sometimes a new direction is all that is needed. And with that being said, Currents has gone fully digital. Decades ago, Currents began as a 1-page hard copy publication. It included blurbs about current things happening across the yard. In the early 2000s, the number of pages was expanded in Currents, transforming it into a newsletter publication. Over the years, Currents has featured thousands of shipbuilders, photos, and events, and we're excited to continue its legacy. You can now access Currents each week, now on Wednesdays, on the website nnstogo.com and the NNS To Go app. The app is available for download in both the Apple app and Google Play stores. It was a night full of excitement and reflection, as Newport News Shipbuilding recently recognized its new master shipbuilders, employees with 40 years of continuous service, during what is now an annual recognition ceremony again. Like so many in the world, COVID-19 caused NNS to halt many in-person events, but after a 2-year hiatus, we were happy to welcome all active master shipbuilders to the ceremony. Master shipbuilders classes of 1980, 81, and 82 were honored at the ceremony at the Hampton Roads Convention Center. That included dinner, cool master shipbuilder memorabilia, and a special video produced showing what the world was like in the early 80s and what was happening here at Newport News Shipbuilding.
It really feels good to be able to celebrate it with all the other master shipbuilders. I know last 2 years they didn't have it. The guys were just getting a little, a package, and it's not the same. The camaraderie is what we want to be here for, to see old faces, people you work around, people you haven't seen in a while. You never know when you're going to run into them again.
Congratulations again to all our master shipbuilders as you have dedicated your lives to this company and always good ships. The legacy of good ships continues as we are getting closer to the finish line, one compartment at a time, as progress continues on the construction of aircraft carrier John F. Kennedy's CVN-79. Shipbuilders recently turned over to the ship's crew the 1,200th compartment of approximately 2,600 total compartments on the ship. The most recently completed spaces house important communications components, and now test teams will begin energizing internal equipment and start bringing the compartments to life. From one aircraft carrier to another, as shipbuilders continue their efforts on the construction of CVN-80, the new Enterprise in Dry Dock 12. The most recent superlift is one of 10 new superlifts on the 3rd Ford-class aircraft carrier. Superlifts refer to each modular section of the ship. This section was built entirely on the final assembly platen and was erected as a one crane lift weighing in at a whopping 516 metric tons. And thanks to our shipbuilders' hard work, it took over 12,000 man-hours of pre-outfitting to get it ready to be lowered into the dry dock. We will continue to keep you up to date as this new ship with the legendary name continues on. The legacy of the name Enterprise is unfathomable. But for one shipbuilder working in the foundry, his time spent on the Big E years ago has come full circle as he sets up a pattern for success for the new Enterprise CVN-80. Our Communications Division's Crystal Langston joins us now to tell you more about the special link between the past and the present.
You got it, Aaron. Shipbuilders here in the foundry recently came together to pour CVN-80's bow towing chalk, which is a part of the aircraft carrier's mooring system, using steel from CVN-65. Through us here at NNS, the Enterprise legacy will live on, but there's one shipbuilder whose legacy will also be a part of Enterprise's history.
To me, the foundry, it's a very unique place. It's a special place. The thing about this is actually the birthplace of naval ships, really. So it really kind of starts here. I joined the Navy in 1987, came from Flint, Michigan, a blue-collar town. There wasn't a lot going up there in jobs, so I took a chance. Decided I wanted to explore the world. Did my first tour and I liked to try it again, and next thing I know is 20 years later. So and my last tour happened to make it out to Virginia and so happened to be associated with the Enterprise. So that turned out to be the last deployment before my retirement, and I couldn't have thought of a better way to wrap it up. Today was setting up a job is the bow tow chalk for the new Enterprise, and they're actually taking metal from the old Enterprise to be a part of this. And it's exciting for me to be a part of that and to lead this job. So I have the documentation of how it actually sets this job up. When I review it, I'll get the required flash that we need, get the pattern set, and then anything that is required in order to get that job ready to pour for the metal. And the pattern set in flash will be covered with sand, which will basically turn to concrete once it's hardened. And once the mold's complete, the pattern's pulled, it'll actually leave the print of the pattern within the mold. That's gonna be your casting. Once the sand is poured and the mold's hard, we'll disassemble the mold, pull the pattern. The mold requires to be dressed, washed, which the wash helps the metal from penetrating the sand. And then once that's all done, the mold will be put back together, and then it'll be set to be poured. When I think about it, it's something I take a lot of pride in. And to me, it's an honor to have somebody put that faith in me to be able to take this job on, to do that. It makes me feel good.
The significance is the molding process is pretty much the same as it was back then. The pattern that we used to make the bow chock is the same pattern that we used for 65. It's a lot of history involved in it, and Chad being a part of the history of CVN 65, now he's a part of CVN 80, which I think is very cool.
Congratulations to Kevin, Chad, and the rest of the Foundry team for successfully completing another milestone in CVN 80's construction. For Focus NNS, I'm Crystal Langston. Back to you, Aaron.
Time stops for no one. And as the years continue to fly on by, it's important to stop, reflect, and look back on the top 5 stories of 2022 here at Newport News Shipbuilding.
Just one step at a time, getting closer and closer to the finish line. It can be overwhelming if you're looking at the bigger picture, but if you break it down into smaller sections, it can be manageable and achievable.
It's an amazing journey, and nobody else in the world does what we do. Nobody else in the world. And to be a part of something like that, I can't even put that into words to just express. It's an experience though, and it's a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything else that I've ever had to do in my life.
Today's event is especially historic because for the first time, we are honoring a record 9 heroes that will forever inspire Arkansas and her crew.
On behalf of the women and the men of the Little Rock 9, I hereby declare the keel of this United States Navy submarine, Arkansas, truly and fairly laid.
To the shipbuilders and servicemen and women here today, please know again, I give to you as the ship's co-sponsor my most sincere and strong gratitude as you work with great spirit as a team to build and utilize this marvel that will be known as the USS Enterprise.
I hereby declare the keel of the United States ship Enterprise truly
and fairly laid.
What a year! There's no way we would have time to include everything that was accomplished, but 2022 was a big success nonetheless. That couldn't be possible without the hard work of all 25,000 shipbuilders, who are the heart and soul of this company, as they proudly bring the nation's nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines to life for this great country. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Focus NNS. Remember, check out the new and improved digital version of Currents for the latest shipyard news, available on the website at nnstogo.com and on the free downloadable app NNS To Go. Plus, keep up to date with all of our latest videos and spectacular photos on all of our social media channels. And if you've enjoyed this edition of Focus NNS and are interested in making the commitment to start or even further your career here at Newport News Shipbuilding, check out buildyourcareer.com, where we have plenty of opportunities for you to explore. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again in 2023.